All right, how do the good, wonderful folks out there in the world do? My name is JV Wins. That is Dogon SS. We are back on the Conscious Approach channel on YouTube once again with another stream. Thanks to everybody who is tuning in. Before we get started, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. If you have not already done so, hit that like button. There was one commenter on one of our previous video, on one of our more recent videos, saying that they're surprised that we haven't crossed 1,000 subs yet. And I took that as a compliment. I took that to mean that what we do is so good that he's shocked that we haven't hit 1,000 subs yet. That's how I chose to take that information in. So as you can see via our little ticker going there across the bottom of the screen, we are in a race of 1,000 subscribers. But moreover, because we do this for the love, not necessarily for the metrics. If you like what we do over here on this channel, subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, leave a comment, let us know what you think. During the live stream, go ahead and chime in on the stream. Give us your thoughts on these various topics that we touch on the channel, because we do it for the community aspect more so than for the opportunity to just get here in front of a webcam and gas bag for over an hour. So, with that being said, first thing that we are going to talk about this evening on the stream is interesting comments that Ebro made about Drake. So, just a brief history here. Very recently, there was an interview in which Childish Gambino, aka Donald Glover, aka the guy who created Atlanta, said that his song from 2018, This Is America, originally started as a Drake diss. But upon evaluating how he wanted to continue to go about creating and promoting the song, he ended up changing direction and it became the song that we know of, a song that's about, it's a social commentary on modern America and race and all of that kind of stuff. So before it became that, though, it was originally supposed to be, in his words, a funny Drake diss. And upon learning about that, Drake took exception, and Drake is currently on tour. So he put something on this big screen behind him, basically calling out Childish Gambino in a competitive way for the fact that that song was originally a Drake diss. Now, this topic came up during Ebro's Apple Music show on YouTube, and that's what we're going to touch on this first topic, because Ebro got into whether it was cool for Drake to take exception to Donald Glover saying that, in light of the fact that Drake himself tends to recuse himself from speaking on social issues. And that's pretty much the meat of this topic. And so that's what we wanted to touch on, because we found it to be interesting. The notion of Drake, or, people in general, and what's your responsibility supposed to be in terms of speaking on social issues. So this story here, published to Hot New Hip Hop, it says Ebro speaks on Drake never talking about social issues. Drake has been catching a lot of flack for calling Childish Gambino's track "This Is America" trash. Ebro Darden is the latest to speak out about Drake's comments. The radio personality Rip Drizzy saying that he's never shown up for the black community when it comes to discussing social issues. Quote, "Y'all know I'm the biggest Drake fan on this show," Ebro says to his co-stars on Apple's Rap Life review. Drake has never shown up to have anything to say about anything going on in society with black folks or anything other than himself. Ebro continued by saying, "You're also one of the most successful rappers we've ever seen, and we love you for that. The song's called This Is America. You're Canadian, bro." The three hosts on the show were commenting that it's okay if Drake doesn't speak about social issues, but that it's whack if he brings up a song from 5 years ago and disses it. Drake is currently on his It's All a Blur tour, where a headline flashed across the stage that said, "The overrated and over-awarded hit song This Is America, originally a Drake diss." So we'll also go ahead and play a short snippet of Ebro's comments so that I can allow the man to speak for himself.
But it was important at the time, and it made people feel something about social commentary. And obviously, I'm biased because I like when an artist can do that. I don't know how I feel about Drake who has never shown up, and y'all know I'm the biggest Drake fan on this show. Drake has never shown up to have anything to say about anything going on in society with black folks or anything other than himself. So now you having an issue. I get you having an issue with Childish Gambino if what you're saying is fact. But fam, the song was supposed to be a joke diss. It didn't actually happen.
Mm-hmm.
So why you in your feelings about it and taking shots at a song?
It was like 5 years late. Like the song came out, what, 18, 19?
Yeah, but I think the Childish Gambino interview just happened a few months ago. So it's
Yeah,
still
so it's only
relevant in
because
that
he
context.
addressed it right
But
now.
I don't know, it didn't actually happen. Nothing actually happened.
Right. It's a little.
All right, so yeah, that's pretty much summing up kind of what I summarized there in the beginning. It didn't even end up being a Drake diss to begin with, but Drake felt he took exception. And you know, Drake to me, he strikes me as like a LeBron type person. Drake is like the LeBron of rap.
Oh,
He's passive aggressive and petty, but he'll make it seem as though he's not. So that he can try and look like he's this overconfident, non-insecure person when really he is exactly that. That's my opinion. And that clip is courtesy of Apple Music. So you know, don't flag us, man. We just we're the little guy here on the internet trying to get
fair
bigger.
use,
So
man. Fair use.
yeah, fair use. That's what's up. So yeah, what do you think about Ebro's comments towards Drake, or Drake doing what he did in response to that, or the overall notion of Drake speaking on social issues or lack thereof?
I'll touch on the part where, I'll touch on the part where we're dealing with the Drake not talking about social issues. That's not, that's not his job. That's not his lane. So that's not his responsibility at that point. And so it's on the consumer whether or not, they know which bucket to put certain things in. And if the only thing you do is consume is Drake, and you think that Drake isn't just the entertainment part of music, then you will be missing the substance that you surely need. Now, if you, listen to various forms of music to actually get that substance, then you already know that Drake is going to talk about what he wants to talk about. So he kind of already carved out his own lane. He doesn't have to talk about social issues. It's not his job. And Drake is just an entertainer. So for me, when I look at artistry, yeah, I'm always looking for substance. That's what I'm generally going to call the art. And when these people nowadays are just talking about anything and nothing of substance, nothing of quality, they're just spattering out words and saying anything. Well, at that point, then, that's why, I harp on today's music so much. Now, there's people in today's music that do have substance and they do say things. But whenever I'm speaking on these things, I'm talking about en masse. And this is what people are massively consuming. So Drake is no different. He is the machine. He sets the standard for mechanical industry rap. And it's very commercial, and it's not intended to actually spark your mind of self-improvement, other than, you're looking at self-improvement through trying to live your life through Drake's life, which to me is like not it. Because again, for various times we talked about, because he eventually swerved down the lane of tricking off on Instagram models and other weird behaviors.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm pretty sure Drake fans will say that he has substance and he does talk about things, but to me, I really don't think so. But I'll let you go in a second. But as far as Drake having to feel like he has to all of a sudden do it, because that would be cheesy now. So if he all of a sudden tries to come out with man in the mirror, let's heal the world type stuff, it's like, whoa, bro, too little too late. So just keep entertaining us with your dance hall, your techno, whatever you got coming, dubstep, whatever you're gonna do, man, just keep entertaining us in clubs and on the radio. So, how about you, sir? How do you feel about this whole dynamic here? Do you feel like Drake has some substance to his bars, or do you feel like Mr. Ebro got a point here?
I think Ebro's right to me. I think so. I don't think that Ebro was insinuating that Drake should do that. I
Of
think
course.
that he was saying that because you don't do that, why call out this song for being something that it didn't actually end up being when you know the overall impact that the song had?
Mhm.
It's beneath you to do that, to call the song out when you yourself aren't in the lane or you don't necessarily occupy a space within the music contextually, which would make sense for you to combat that song being a Drake diss, even though it didn't even end up being a Drake diss in the first place. So I kind of get where Ebro is coming from. And I think the point of Drake's reaction continuing to be Drake-ish and not the opposite thing where now he's going to decide to be a social commentator is of more substance. Like it would be unfortunate if Drake at this point in his career decided that he was going to try and become like some kind of pseudo Kendrick Lamar, because it would just come off weird. It's like
Right.
you don't do that. So just keep doing what you're doing and talk about how you get everybody's woman and you'll have sex with another guy's wife or woman, and how women need to stop trying to fill their bank accounts with, via your money. And what else does Drake talk about? I don't even know what else he talks about except for that.
Not flying on
Um,
Spirit or wearing New Balance.
right, which kind of just brings it back to the central part about women. I feel like Drake just raps about women all the time. So like, just keep doing that, bro, because no one's criticizing you for not being a social commentator, but you will start looking funny if all of a sudden you decide that you want to rap about social issues. And this is an issue that I have, not because Drake hasn't done this, but I've had this issue with other rappers who have spent the lion's share of their careers carving a niche for themselves in which they're this life living, money loving, women loving, living life to the fullest, living in excess, living in debauchery, um, Sodom and Gomorrah type shit. But then all of a sudden something happens in the world and they feel this pressure to make songs about police brutality,
Yeah.
or it's disgusting. It really is. I remember, I forget which one of those Rick Ross albums it was. I forget which one it was. It was like Hood Billion. It was one of those albums Rick Ross did, but it came out somewhere near when that Baltimore stuff was going down back in like 2015. And all of a sudden, Rick Ross has a song on his album about, police brutality and all of this kind of stuff. And it's like, bro, that's not you. Just keep talking about 745 white on white, and you know what I'm saying, and
Yeah.
being
The
rich
hell?
off cocaine. Like that's your lane, Ross. Like stop feeling this obligatory nature to do what other people already are doing. Like it's not you. And if they're doing it because they feel this pressure from the hip hop constituency, then I think that that's an even bigger indictment on the environment around the music. Because I also think that consumers of the music and consumers of this weirdo culture need to know who does what and call on those individuals to occupy the right spaces and leave everybody else to do what they do best. So there's also this extra added layer of, do I listen to the environment around the music that's seemingly telling me that I'm supposed to dip my toe in this pool, even if I'm not good at it? And furthermore, even if I am completely and wholly uninformed to do so. And so some of these rappers who have done this, it's just been kind of gross to listen to. Um, and even some of my favorite people, they've done it. And it was just, to me, it was just kind of like Jay-Z's my favorite rapper. He put that Kingdom Come album out and he had a song on there about the Hurricane Katrina. and everything that's going on Katrina. And I get it because he's trying to lend his voice to it because he feels like he has an obligation to do so because he is who he is. But at the same time, you're not necessarily the best at that. Even if you are really good at being lyrical and rapping and spitting bars and all of that kind of stuff, there's other rappers who are better at it. So just let people occupy the space that they're meant to occupy and let the chips fall where they may. And again, to Ebro's credit, I don't think Ebro was suggesting that Drake should do this. I think Ebro was saying you haven't been doing this, so don't call out Childish Gambino, who does do this, just because he mentioned haphazardly that a song that became that almost was a Drake diss. Because that is a petty reason to go back at somebody for something that doesn't even exist. Like, it's not like Glover actually has a Drake diss in existence. He doesn't. All we have is the actual song itself, the This Is America song. And if you see that actual interview with Donald Glover talking about the history behind the song, the way he's delivering the interview, he's being his typical corny self. And he's not even making it seem like he almost was. He's not making it seem as though he was coming at Drake on that kind of stuff. It's very laid back, very casual. To me, it was all in fun and spirit. And, you know, Drake doing his LeBron passive aggressive, let me go back at that, to me was just to kind of garner more attention Drake's way. It seemed very self-serving in my opinion.
Absolutely.
But then again, I'm not a Drake fan, so I don't care about saying that. I'm not someone who worships at the altar of Drake anyway. But yeah, I just kind of think that above all else, Drake shouldn't take this as an opportunity to become a conscious rapper. Because, bro, you're not a conscious rapper. You're a let me talk about these women rapper. That's what, and you do it well. So just keep doing what you do well. And there are so many parallels between music and sports because we make these demands of athletes too, especially these football players and these basketball players. They need to be these civic leaders all of a sudden and speak up for the people whenever things are going wrong in society or the world at large. And if you're qualified to do so and you've done your research and you know what you're talking about, more power to you. But most of these guys running around out here are just regular people who are just trying to get money, feed families, and have fun and live life. And they don't know nothing about history, politics, sociopolitics, economics. They don't know anything about any of this stuff. Yet we seemingly demand of them that they speak on it. And then when they put their foot in their mouth because they don't know what they're talking about, we want to criticize them for that. So it's ridiculous. They're in a completely lose-lose situation. And it's unfortunate. And rappers get to sidestep this more than athletes. Excuse me, because for whatever reason, we've decided that the athletes are the champions. So Drake is able to more easily sidestep, you know, the obligation that is being, you know, put upon him to do this. I don't think that that's happening, but hypothetically speaking, if it were, Drake is able to sidestep it easier than an NBA player or an NFL player would. But overall, I think we need to cut back on that. It's silly, and we need to give more credence and credibility and afford the platform on a greater level to the individuals from the community who are more qualified to do this stuff. And that includes other rappers and athletes, just they're more qualified to do it than Drake or somebody else. So I think we just need to let these guys go, leave them alone, and let Drake continue to rap about, you know, smashing strippers and porn stars and models and being in the club all the time at Live and just give us the blueprint for how to not allow a woman to go hypergamy on you.
Well, wouldn't that just be great? But you know, I think he's going to continue to do that. So I don't think he's going to feel any pressure from this. But if he slips one in there, I'm going to call him corny for it. I'm like, too late, bro. You had so much time. So many social things happen, bro. And you just chose to make another dance song. So just keep making dance songs, bro. But, you know, as you mentioned, your favorite, Jay-Z, he did change over time anyway, you know, and he did start talking about more insightful things instead of exclusively just, you know, baller talk, you know.
Yeah.
So, and he found a way to still do baller talk while talk about things that were progressive. So, he found a way to do age appropriate music, and so maybe Drake in older age, because nobody's really going to limit him for it, especially if he gets older in age and, it comes off more genuine, then who cares? But right now, if he started to do that, yeah, it'd be kind of corny. But
Yeah.
him, nevertheless, he's an entertainer, as I mentioned earlier. So yeah, this is WWE for him. The rap arena is freaking, I don't know what did they call that? Any one of those Royal Rumbles, what do they call those things?
Survivor Series.
Yeah, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
WrestleMania.
Yeah, man.
Hell
So
in a Cell.
yeah, so he's gonna, for no apparent reason, if you mention his name, yeah, he's like Kevin Durant. He's paying attention to the Twitter wires and everything else. What you think is not gonna get back to him? And yes, he's gonna be petty about it because that's part of his promo. He's out there like Macho Man Randy Savage out there, minus the coke, and just out there just giving people stuff to talk about so his name can be, hey man, I'm about to watch that Hell in a Cell. And so now I know Drake on tour. I know that boy was on tour. I don't care that he's on tour, but now I know. And how do I know? Because he knew what was going to make headlines, like LeBron. So he plays the media game. That's part of his triple double package. He's gonna hit you with this. He's gonna hit you with that. And this was like a no look behind the back assist to himself. And everybody's gonna be like, damn, man, how you because the people that are not gonna sit around and talk about this, they're just gonna, oh, Drake's on tour and go about their business. But see, Planet, Drake's on tour. And so, and for the people that are, hey, hopefully is he coming to Kansas? Nah, he's not coming to Kansas, bro. Better go to Chicago or whatever your nearest city, Missouri or whatever. But so I see how he's playing it, and you got to give him credit for this. The guy's always playing chess out here, and so to me, I look at it as promo for him. I don't expect him to give me conscious bars. I don't want to hear conscious bars from him. They might go hard, but whatever. But maybe his stands need to hear it. So who knows? So this world's out of my hands anyway, man. If I can control this shit, man, so he gonna do whatever he want. But Ebro, yeah, I mean, Ebro loves to harp on Drake. This is just the latest stab at it. He knows it gives him buzz, and so he took a nice little opportunity here to get at him. But I don't expect anything less from Mr. Drake here. This is WWE for him, and he knows what gets him the impressions and what's getting him searched. And right on, hit the nail on the head. He made it all the way to the conscious approach.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I don't think that Drake has any intention to create some sort of Childish Gambino. I don't think that there's any Childish Gambino Drake diss brewing. I think Drake used it as an opportunity to be self-serving and to bring more attention to himself. I agree with you. I think that he's playing the media game and he's doing it well because he is a smart guy. But just because you're smart doesn't mean that you're qualified to be socially aware. And we need to let people occupy the lanes in which they're most appropriate. And this comes on the heels. There was another person, and his name is, I'm drawing a blank on who it is at the moment. And that sucks because I would really like to say it. But there's someone who not too long ago did call out Drake specifically for sidestepping interviews in the media that would require him to speak on important social issues. And so there's a precedent for this type of conversation where his name has been brought up in various contexts in the past with respect to his reluctance, apparently, to speak out on social issues. And to me, that's kind of where the rubber meets the road. It's like, why are we requiring? Are you requiring this of him because of how famous and big he is? That,
Yeah.
like, there seems to be a correlation between how big you become
Yeah.
and the responsibility that others in the community want to attach to what you're supposed to do.
Right.
And I guess I understand it because he does have a big platform because
Right.
of who he is. He's Drake.
Right.
But at the same time, what's the value of that if he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about? Or if he's not informed, or if furthermore he does not care. Like, what if he is genuinely not impassioned enough to do so? We should not force these people into these situations. Stop trying to pigeonhole these individuals, especially rappers who at the same time put out albums talking about all of the facets of self-degradation that go into harming those very same communities. Now, I'm not blaming rappers and hip-hop people for the problems in the world or the problems with any of their respective communities, but it is what it is. Like, routinely, they're producing content that at the very least highlights what's wrong with a lot of the behaviors inherent in the people who come from those very communities. So it's a tug and pull type thing. You want them to make that same kind of content, but then also speak on social issues. If you really want to call Drake out for this, how about you call him out for making the type of content that he makes in the first place? Because some can argue that that does more harm than some of these other societal problems that you want him to speak on. Or at the very least, it plays a role in exacerbating some of these problems. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that that's my point of view. I believe everybody occupies a lane. Drake don't do that, so don't obligate him to. Let Drake talk about the women and the money and all of that other stuff, and let people like Nas and Killer Mike do the social commentary stuff, because they're better at that than him by far. It's not even close. So just bring up the right people, and and kind of stop doing this weirdo thing that we do where we want these rappers and these athletes to be the champions of the people. I think that that's a fatal flaw in our strategy. Pay attention to some of these people in more academic spaces who are more qualified to speak on this. I think that if we had our priorities more in check in that regard, then we wouldn't feel this impulsive need to call Drake out for speaking more on social issues. Because I don't want to hear Drake talk to me about any of that. I don't want to hear that. Like, you're Drake. Like you said, entertain me. Tell me how to get a stripper if that's what I want, which I don't. I'm just saying, for example, talk to me, talk to me about how to bag a stripper, right? Talk to me about how to get an OnlyFans chick. You know what I'm saying? Talk to me about how to not let them take advantage of me. Talk to me about all of that kind of stuff. That's what you do best, Drake. And so do that. But maybe I'm an outlier. I'm certainly not a conformist, or I don't consider myself to be amongst the masses who's going to sit there and demand that rappers speak on my behalf. I'm going to pay attention to the people who I think are more qualified to do these things. And for all I care, Drake can spend the next 6 months educating himself on the history of American sociopolitics. I still don't want to hear Drake talk on it because I have too much empirical data of what Drake actually is, given the decade plus that he's been in the rap game, talking about the stuff that he talks about. So maybe I'm being rigid and I'm not giving him a chance to do it, but I am of the belief that you are who you are. So if Drake was going to be this, he'd already be it. So educate yourself in whatever, but I don't want to hear you talk about this stuff. So yeah, Ebro, they got their show over there on Apple. I've never seen it before, but maybe I'll pay more attention to it. But it certainly helps the views to put out there that you got a Drake topic during the episode, obviously.
Yeah.
And it definitely helps Drake to, not that Drake needs the plug, but if somebody who's as big as Gambino, Glover, whatever you want to call him, is going to provide him with the opportunity to bring something up that can further help Drake in an aspect of self-interest, then he's of course naturally going to take advantage of that opportunity as well. So all fair is in this competitive hip hop media space, but miss me with trying to call Drake out for being a social commentator. Just let Drake do what he does. And if you really need a rapper to do this stuff, pay attention to the rappers who are more qualified.
And as far as like Drake, the reason why he never picked a side on anything, because that's not his job. And his job is to entertain people and just hop on stage and sing you a song, make you dance. And because if he gets political, if he picks a side, he's isolating bags. He's not doing that. He's here for everybody. That's why he's making dance hall stuff. That's why he's making techno stuff. That's why he's doing all of these things. He's trying to make money from everybody. As soon as he takes a stance on anything, yeah, police brutality sucks, but there's a whole bunch of people that feel like those people deserved it. And now you're going to piss those people off. Now they're not going to come to your shows or whatever. But if you just tell them that how to bag a stripper and how to let that stripper finesse you, he can identify with that a little bit more. He can. So Drake's going to keep giving us our lullaby music, the music that you sleep to. There's nothing in there that has any levels of awareness. You know, the only awareness that he's giving you is awareness of this game, but he's not giving you any awareness of the game of life, right? So he just goes around with this stuff and let him keep doing that. But that's what I'm saying. You got to understand who the court gesture is, or the person that you should be looking to as an orator, and a person that's actually given some life gospel you can live by somehow. Because Drake's not that guy. He would have got on that mantle, but he doesn't want to do that. And so let's not require him, Ebro. And by the way, Ebro, it's not like you speak for the community either. So what the hell are you talking about? And you get up there on your radio stations for decades now, parading around playing this music that you know is detrimental to our community. You don't make any stances on this. You don't stand up for anything. So what are you doing to help our community? You're not doing anything. And he always called people out for not being black enough. Yeah. Bro, please sit down, sir. So here he goes again, trying to throw somebody else under the bus, you know, because Drake, man, please. Drake's job is out there to go whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. And I don't expect this guy to write a scholarly book to change the world. So Ebro, go sit down out there with Drake, jigabooing with everybody else. So yeah, I'm sorry, I had to get that off my chest. I couldn't let this go without me addressing Ebro. You know, I didn't want this to be a whole Drake bashing, because it wasn't a Drake bashing session. It was it's Drake is what he is session. Yeah. But yeah, Ebro, take a hike, sir. I'm not buying this stuff.
Yeah, well, according to Ebro, loves Drake. That's
he's always
according to Ebro. Yeah, according to Ebro, he loves Drake. But I just Elliot Wilson, that's the guy's name who called Drake out for speaking on issues outside of the culture. That's the guy's name who called Drake out previously. But he's not the only one. There's been other people who have done it. I just say leave the guy alone and let him do the, you know, ever since I left the city, you like that's Drake. that's what Drake is here for.
Exactly.
You know, left foot, right, whatever that song is, Tootsie Slide. Let Drake Tootsie Slide us. That's what he's here for.
Come on, man.
You know?
You rallying behind Drake,
man.
Yeah, man. Let the boy live.
Shouts out to Drake, boy. It's a stripper and an adult film star holiday whenever Drake comes to a city near you. That's for sure.
Wow. Me defending Drake. What's the world coming to?
Oh gosh.